The First Order is a strange organisation. Its one true goal was to destroy the New Republic. However, once it had completed this, the Final Order, a secretive new organisation headed by Sidious, moved in to take control. But how did this work? Was the First Order actually ever sustainable? And how was the First Order any different to the Final Order? Now, this video is mostly centred around the sustainability of the First Order, and something that always bothered me about it is that the First Order isn't really a government. It's more of an occupational force. From what we see, the First Order didn't really have any civilians per se. Everyone in it is kind of drafted into service, and although not everyone is directly involved with the military, for example, they must have had engineers, factory workers, builders, farmers, etc., it's pretty clear that every single person who lived in and under the First Order was working towards the one single goal, and that's the destruction of the Republic. So every single action that they were doing was for the benefit of the military of the First Order. Now, the problem with this is that once the New Republic is destroyed, the First Order starts invading the galaxy and taking control of worlds. But why? Now, on the outside, their goals are pretty simple, to recreate the Galactic Empire. But the Empire and the First Order are completely different. Despite being an autocracy, the Empire was still a government that did at the end of the day work for civilians. People worked in banks, private businesses. They had their own goals and motives. And the First Order doesn't operate like this. Think of it this way, people worked under the Empire, but everybody works for the First Order. I find it very, very unlikely that the First Order had the resources nor the structure to actually run a galaxy. This was an organisation that basically ran on slave labour building superweapons. It just didn't know how to manage civilians, or anything to do with civilians. It wouldn't have been able to run an economy or deal with anything that a regular government is in charge of. All it could really do was attack. However, in Rise of Skywalker, they introduced Sidious and the Final Order, and that actually did something very important that makes far more sense to me. Sidious's Sith Eternal cult had built its own fleet and own military in hiding. However, as we saw, the amount of Sith Eternal followers is pretty staggering. But who were they? The Sith as a religion has never been very popular or widespread. And even under the Empire, the premise of the Sith or Force users was also not popular. So who are all these people that have suddenly come out of nowhere and started using the Sith as a way of religion? We see that they're dedicated enough to move to the middle of nowhere and live in less than hospitable conditions under a complete and utter tyrant doing whatever he says. And I don't think they're doing this because they're devout followers of the Sith's teachings. In my opinion, these are the people who would have been the future leaders under this new empire, the Final Order. Politicians, governors, moths. All of these were trying to get on board Sidious's new regime as early as possible to get prime positions in his new government. This makes a lot of sense to me. At the end of the day, the First Order had nothing like this. No real backing politically, it was kind of just a hammer. The Sith Eternal were the ones who were moving the pieces. They were the ones who were going to inherit the galaxy. They were the ones who were going to be running it and recreating the Empire. Something that the First Order just was not capable of doing in any way. It was them who would have benefited from the First Order's wars under a new name and a new leader. Snoke was, in classic Sidious fashion, just another puppet. And sure, at the end of the day, these members of the Sith Eternal may need to sell their souls to a Sith tyrant and wear some robes and do some weird rituals. But they're gonna get what they want if Sidious's plan had worked. It's for this reason why I'm very, very sure that the people who were crushed beneath that temple will have been some of the most powerful and influential people in the entire galaxy if Sidious's plan had succeeded. Long story short, the First Order was never supposed to be sustainable. Similarly to the CIS and the Republic, to Sidious it was just a means to an end. He created a crisis, he created a power vacuum that he would fill. For that reason, it's not too different from the entire Clone Wars conflict. It was classic Hallmark Sidious. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that the First Order was sustainable, and do you believe that they could have actually ran the galaxy? And do you believe that the Sith Eternal was secretly the contingency plan, once the First Order had completed all of the heavy lifting? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, I do hope that you enjoyed. If so, please remember to like, share and sub, as it's really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @TheLoreGuy and tick the bell for regular updates. I just want to quickly apologise for the lack of videos recently. I am still currently getting assignments out and stuff for university, but I am going to be trying to get as many videos out as possible. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.